Hello, Sam-ariffic science fans! So, last week I posted this video about plant cells and said it was part 1 of the cell saga. So, here's part 2 where we unfold the world of animal cells. The nucleus is in both plant and animal cells, and it does basically the same thing in both, storing genetic material and regulating growth and metabolism. It's located in basically the center of an animal cell, surrounded by a double layer of cytoplasm. Typically, there's only one nucleus in a cell, but not always, because sometimes the nucleus will split but the cytoplasm won't, making a kind of mini cell. Speaking of cytoplasm, the cytoplasm is a gel-like substance that fills the space that would otherwise just be dead space within the cell. But just because it's filling negative space doesn't make it any less important. For example, it's what keeps the organelle suspended in the cell. I like to look at it like this. The cytoplasm is giving everyone else a hug. Also, something I missed in the last video is that since the cytoplasm is basically everywhere, it's also involved in transportation of molecules. The Golgi apparatus is in both plant and animal cells, but I didn't include it in last week's video because I knew it would have a lot of repetition in this video, so this organelle is the first to join the club of organelles I didn't feel like repeating. But what exactly does it do? Well, put simply, it's the post office of the cell. It receives, sorts, modifies, and packages protein before shipping it off to other parts of the cell, or perhaps even a neighboring cell. So, sorry to the Golgi apparatus for not including you in the last video. The mitochondria is definitely one of the most fun words to say when naming organelles. It has the role of breaking down glucose into food for the cell. Through a bunch of chemical reactions, it breaks glucose into ATP. The mitochondria also holds calcium, which is used to signal the cell to make heat. It's also involved in cell reproduction and death. Let's look at the cell as a castle, with several small buildings shooting off of it. The nucleus is the main part of the castle, and the other parts of the cell are the mini buildings. The cell membrane is the moat of the castle. You see, the cell membrane's job is defense. It keeps the bad stuff out of the cell and lets the good stuff in. It's the cell's #1 defense mechanism. The vacuole's name was mispronounced in the last video, so sorry about that. But in the animal cell, the vacuole is different. First of all, in a plant cell, while it does do some storage, it mostly just keeps leaves from drooping. With an animal cell, however, its primary function is storage. Or should I say their primary function? Because instead of having one big vacuole, like a plant cell, the animal cell has two smaller vacuoles that store proteins and other molecules the cell needs. The ribosomes manage the protein synthesis, and is in both plant and animal cells, but wasn't included in the last one to avoid repetition. Protein synthesis is how cells get protein, hence the name, protein synthesis. Protein is important for many reasons in the cell, but most notably it makes up the cell's DNA. The final part of the cell saga is yet another organelle that was cut from the last video to avoid repetition. The endoplasmic reticulum, or ER for short. The ER is, in a way, the linking threads between the ribosomes and the Golgi apparatus. We just discussed how the ribosome's job is to make protein, and earlier in the video we discussed the Golgi apparatus, which is the post office of the cell. The ER is the part of the cell that sends protein from the ribosomes to the Golgi apparatus to send to the rest of the cell. Additionally, there's also the smooth ER. We've been talking about the rough ER. Smooth ERs work totally differently. Smooth ER's whole things are detoxification, calcium storage, and photosynthesis. Anyway, that's about all for this video, Sam-ariffic science fans. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.